So I want to draw attention, Marty alluded to this both in his talk and his slides, that the attack in Ukraine in 2015 was not a particularly sophisticated from a technical standpoint. The exploits that were used were not particularly sophisticated. It was the coordination and the broad nature of the actions that were taken across 3 different Oberlin ergos that caught everyone's attention, along with the actual impact. Because as you can see up there, 225,000 customer outages, and really that's 225,000 subscribers, meters, so it could very well, we would presume, be much larger than just a 250,000 actual people who suffered from that. Excuse me. There were 3 utilities, but as Andy noted, it was at the distribution level. So it's interesting to take this slide and go to the next slide and compare that in December of 2016, you advancing the slides, in December of 2016, and we have limited reporting, limited open source reporting about what exactly happened, but it was 1 transmission substation that was actually attacked in 2016 and didn't get a whole lot of press. So I don't know if that's just the Ukrainians weren't as willing to share information about that, but if you look at the impact, and Andy, if you can go back and forth to the other one.
Let me test going back technology.
Okay, so look at the load impact, 135 megawatts on the 2015 across 3 different distribution entities with multiple substations involved. Next, 200 megawatt higher load impact with a single substation hit. And so this is an area that is very concerning, I know, to me, because I look at it and I say, well, somebody's using Ukraine as their playground to refine tactics, techniques, procedures. This is important. I'm not, and if we think that, okay, this can be done with a lack of technical sophistication that we know exists today, what can a properly trained and patient and resourced adversary do?
I'm going to ask you to just bear with us when we're assuming that through those discussions that Chris has gained a position on the engineering workstation, either through a trusted communication, through a vendor access, through some type of remote support. He is on the vendor workstation. And with that, we are going to begin. We're going to start with the easiest of all items. Chris is going to go from the engineering workstation, and he is going to connect directly to the operator HMI and manipulate the screens. We're also going to try to do something interesting here. We have command strip mounted a camera to this thing. So if you can go, sure we have. I see it here, you don't see it. 1 second. And if you can pull up the other screen with Chris's on it. So 1 screen should be me and 1 should be him. There we go. Okay, so this is the kit. So Chris running a few commands here. He's going to go straight to this operator HMI. Instead of having a full-blown workstation, we've brought a operator panel here for travel purposes. He's going to connect direct and simply operate the breakers direct. So carry on. The other piece too is as you're looking at this and the layout, we are going to be using this in a couple of different critical infrastructure. So expand your mind in regards to what you're seeing on the screen, whether this could potentially be an HMI for a substation or at a generation facility or in a compressor station or somewhere out in the pipeline. The purpose here of what we're doing in one of these labs, so in this cyber workshop, we're going to have about 6 labs and about 6 hours of content that Mike and I will be going through. This initial one is to talk about from an operator perspective. They just saw something happen in their system. They saw a mouse moving, they saw breakers opening, they saw set point changes. So if you look back at the Ukraine 2 utilities, that's what they saw. So they knew immediately they were under attack. They knew something wasn't right. If you want to, I'm going to switch back. If you want to, you changed the set point already?
Yes.
Okay, send red and go out of manual. So he's going to continue to do some things while I'm going to continue to show some other slides. So very simply, engineering workstation straight to the operator HMI. Nothing major, but the pieces here to talk about when we're working with these electric sector personnel, if you're looking at your operator and saying, what should you learn from this? The operators, if you talk to them and say the electric system is failing, they have piles of procedures on what they're going to do with that. The operators know what to do when the system is failing. When you're talking about the technology is failing, they talk about the OT group. They say, well, they have a plan for that. The OT groups have piles of procedures. When you start talking about somebody is misusing your control system, it's, I don't know what to do anymore. So at a very basic understanding level, when we see something like this happening, like mouse movement, when we went over to the Ukraine, in at least 2 of the organizations where they saw the mouse movements, we were given or shown videos of that happening. So the operator seeing their mouse moving, they got their phone out, but instead of calling somebody for help, they made a video of their mouse moving and opened the breakers and going from substation to substation and substation. That's here in the States and wherever you come from. Make sure your operators know when something starts happening, they know their workstation is being misused against them. At a bare minimum, if they shut down their workstation, the adversary will now have to find another one to misuse and control, or they'll have to go to attack step 2, which we're going to move into now. So from an attack step 2 perspective, we saw 2 utilities with the phantom mouse movement, where the mouse was just moving and opening breakers. When we move into this 3rd step, there was a 3rd utility that they just saw the effect of what was happening in the field. So the adversary was sending commands direct to the field device, so the item out in the substation. The operator panel was still getting live status of what was happening, so they didn't know what was causing the outages in their territory. So I'm going to switch again, and if you want to send commands direct to the field. So no mouse movement anymore on the operator HMI, he's just sending straight out to the field to operate. And the operator HMI actually updated, so in this case the unit went offline because we opened all the breakers. But he didn't have to use the operator workstation, no mouse movement, so this would be the 3rd utility in Ukraine that just saw the effect of what happened.